Hey everybody, Kenny here. So as you may have noticed by the title of the video or by the thumbnail, this will be my final Diablo 4 video. Now there's quite a few reasons for this, but primarily it just goes to something that I had been saying quite a few times since the start of my playthrough. Which is that I do not like the game World of Warcraft. I very much do not like that game. I understand that, millions of people still play it and enjoy it, but I have not liked that game for a very long time. I originally played it during its kind of vanilla version. So before Burning Crusade came out, and then during Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, and then the day that Cataclysm came out, I installed it. I did the very first quest that I could do in that underwater area, and as soon as I turned in that first quest, as soon as I completed that first quest that you got in that underwater area, something clicked in my brain. And I realized that I hated the gameplay loop of World of Warcraft. Absolutely hated it to death. And to this day, I don't like MMOs because of World of Warcraft. Now there have been some minor exceptions to that over the years. I did play Star Wars: The Old Republic for kind of the first month that was out. I had some fun with that, before it became a free-to-play game. Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn I played because I had, around the time that I had stopped playing MMOs because of World of Warcraft, around that same time I had purchased the Collector's Edition, or pre-ordered the Collector's Edition for Final Fantasy XIV. And the beta of that was just absolutely awful. So, when it did come out, I got my collector's edition, but I never registered my copy. I never played the original Final Fantasy XIV because of how much I disliked the beta. And then when A Realm Reborn happened, and they were talking about how they improved the experience overall from what it was in 14. I played that for around that time. I had just lost my job. And so I had plenty of free time after I would, look at job postings in the morning. So I would hop on Final Fantasy XIV. I played in the first month. I completed the entire campaign. I got my main class to max level. I almost completed my job weapon quest. But as I said, I was unemployed. And I was only playing it because it was a game that I could play for free because of the fact that I had purchased the collector's edition of the original Final Fantasy XIV. And that code that I had, the redemption code for Final Fantasy XIV was applicable to A Realm Reborn for the first month. So once that first month was over, I couldn't, I couldn't afford to have superfluous expenditures. So that was as long as I played Final Fantasy XIV for. And since then, I haven't really touched any MMOs. So with Diablo 4, I was really hoping that the Diablo side of things would be front and center, and any MMO-y type stuff would take a backseat to that. But as soon as I got to the point where I was no longer recording my sessions for content, I just wanted to play the game for me, to kind of push to end game, and then just record a video every now and then to let you guys know, my opinion on how things were going as I was getting through the game. That was when the other shoe dropped, and I just realized that this is just World of Warcraft. These quests, having to, let me just. This stuff here, doing this kills me. absolutely kills me. I hate this so much. As you can see, like I've gotten pretty close to completing all of the renown for the first area, and you know, it wouldn't take me too much longer to finish up Dry Steps and Skosglin, but I'm not going to do it because I hate this so much. I cannot, like, you know, like these 47 side quests in this area, 44 side quests in this area, 49 side quests in that area, 38 side quests in that area, 35 side quests in that area, 23 dungeons, 21 dungeons, 23 dungeons, 23 dungeons, 25 dungeons. And you don't, and because each has a renown value, you don't actually have to complete all of them in order to cap out your renown. But I don't care. I do not care. The fact that I only need to complete some combination of side quests and side dungeons to hit that cap in each of these areas beyond doing all of the waypoints, navigable stuff, Altars of Lilith, and strongholds. Like the fact that I need to do any amount of that in order to get the Paragon points is why I'm not going to be playing this game. Now, maybe one of these days they're going to make this, you know, when you get to this part of the game, that it doesn't feel like World of Warcraft. But unless they make that change, unless they change it where it's not like World of Warcraft, I'm never going to get further than I got with this character. 55, this is where it ends. And actually, so the reason that I actually stopped here wasn't just because of the fact that I'm fed up with, you know, the whole MMO thing. It's actually that while I was doing that, I got to... So I had been waiting for level 55 to do my first check-in with you guys. And it just so happened that while I was doing that, my last quest that got me, you know, where I got to level 55, in that same dungeon, I got this, which is when I realized that glyphs are actually the reason why these are, you know, are locked is because you actually do have to find them. Like the magic ones you just get, but the rare ones, these are just previews and you actually have to find these in order to use them. And because of that, I am not going to be playing this game because I have no idea like when I'm actually going to find the glyphs I need for this build. And I know which glyphs I want. I had previously mentioned that I was going to go for the Werebear one first, but I changed my mind on that. Like the ones that I would have gone for if, you know, the system was set up where you didn't have to find these, then I would have gone for Shapeshifter, Fang and Claw, and Dominate. Those are the ones that I would have gone for, and the boards that I would have gone for would have been Heightened Malice and Survival Instincts. Those are the boards and glyphs that I would have gone for if I were going to continue with this game. But honestly, like hunting for glyphs, I'm not interested in doing that. I'm honestly just not. Like I get that, you know, for like, you know, if you're playing an ARPG, there is some level of, you know, you need to find certain things in order to make certain builds work. But this game, like, there's no like real target farming in this game, so I wouldn't even know. Like, you know, like, so like I'm guessing that like any dungeon probably has the same chance to drop any of these. And the fact that the first one that I got was the werewolf one, I mean, I have no, like, I have terrible RNG in games, awful RNG, like notoriously bad RNG. So like there's actually a non-zero a non-0% chance that I would end up getting, you know, end up finding every single one of these glyphs before I end up finding the first one of the glyphs that I actually need for my build. That's an entirely possible thing, is that it would happen that way. So I'm just I'm not going to put myself through that, because I know that, you know, the games don't roll in my favor, and I don't expect them to. So that's why, like, you know, like I'm a like I have been playing Path of Exile for a decade now, and there are still things that I'm finding today that I've never found in that game. I actually just found my first 6-link weapon in Path of Exile around a week ago. After 10 years, I found my first 6-link weapon. So yeah, like I'm not willing to put myself through that for this game, but I did want to, like, you know, at least like give give an explanation as to why it is that you're not going to be seeing any Diablo 4 coverage on my channel anymore. Like, this is it. Like as I said, if something changes, if they change something fundamentally in the game that makes it that it doesn't feel like World of Warcraft, then I will come back. Like, guaranteed, I will come back and I will go and grind through everything to do the stuff that I have fun doing. But I can't do this. I cannot. This is against everything I believe in games now. Like, if games are chores, then I don't want to play them, you know? Like, I don't like this type of thing. Like, and I don't fault anyone who does enjoy this kind of thing. I get that, you know, like the reason, like Assassin's Creed and like all those Ubisoft games, like, you know, they're very popular because they appeal to a certain audience. But I'm not a part of that audience, so it's just, this doesn't appeal to me. You know, I'm not faulting anyone who enjoys this. It's just that for me, this is not my type of game. And I'm not going to continue putting myself through this just to maybe put together the build that I wanted to get going. But just to give like, in case anyone was wondering what I was going for with those changes, like the way my playstyle had evolved with my build was that the way that I would kind of do my damage is that I would do like kind of like super bursts. And like the way I would do that is with this Envenom passive. It makes it that poisoned enemies take a 30% multiplier of additional critical strike damage, and that with the Poison Creeper upgrade, Brutal Poison Creeper, you get an additional 20% chance to critically strike against enemies that are being strangled by your Poison Creeper. So I was kind of like focusing on, you know, like getting my critical strikes to occur more often. And so the goal of the build was going to be building around dealing increased damage to enemies that are poisoned. So, you know, so I used the Poison Creeper, then, you know, like everything else is just exploding on the enemy, like for that brief period. So when I set off my Hurricane that is being empowered by Provocation, when I'm using my Pulverize that is being empowered by Primal Pulverize, you know, like all those things are kind of like, you know, when I'm using Trample with Natural Trample, like, you know, like that, all of those things are doing like exceedingly high damage because of the fact that the enemy is poisoned. That's where I was trying to go with this, but without being able to reliably get the glyphs that I want. Like, I don't even see, like, I'll invest the points just to, you know, just to say that I did this one time. Yeah. Hey, so now I know that you do have to actually purchase the glyph slot. That's good. I now know that. I'll go and just spin my way to the top here. That's interesting. Why didn't... There we go. Yeah, so we just attach it like that. Yeah, so with attached malice, you'll see that there are these nodes that increase damage to poisoned enemies. That gives a bunch of increased damage to poisoned enemies. Then headed up this way, there's this rare node here, more damage to poisoned enemies. More damage to poisoned enemies. Heading all the way up to the legendary node over here, Heightened Malice, which makes it that if there's a certain number of poisoned enemies nearby, then you gain a huge multiplier to your damage. And so it's like all completely centered around just getting the the big damage from attacking poisoned enemies. That's what I was going for, but alas. Yep. Anyway, like, once again, I am not discouraging anyone who enjoys playing games like this, where like having like lists of things to do, like that's actually enjoyable for you. Like, I understand, like different people have different things that give them joy when they play games. For me, like this, I think it's just that this specific thing became like a trauma for me because of World of Warcraft. So I can't play games like this. I can't play games where like I need to do chores to progress. So, that's why this is it for me. After this, I will be going back to working on my my last Epoch builds. Like I haven't posted any of those videos yet because like I had completed 2 of my builds, and then the third one, like an issue happened with the cloud save feature in Steam that made it that my local characters got I got like really far with my Spellblade, and then my Spellblade got replaced with a much lower level version of my Spellblade, because for whatever reason it took like 3 days for the cloud save on Steam to sync up my local save for that character. So I lost a ton of progress. Like, and I had made so much progress with that build, and it made me so salty that I stopped playing it for, because honestly it's been months. Like, it was probably like that was probably like a week or 2 before the first early access beta for Diablo 4 happened. So like since enough time has passed that I know there have been a lot of like patches and things for Last Epoch since then. I'm gonna go back to working on those builds because like I love Last Epoch. I think Last Epoch is going to be the best ARPG of this generation. Like, maybe Path of Exile 2 will be, but I haven't played Path of Exile 2. I've played Last Epoch. I've been playing Last Epoch since the original Kickstarter demo. So, like, that's a game that I've been confident in. It's one of the best ARPGs ever made for years now. Before it was an actual product that you could spend money on, like, I've known that it's one of the best. It is one of the best games in this genre that has ever been. So, like, the fact that they've made so many strides towards reaching 1.0 with that game, and and it's scheduled to release later this year, I am highly confident that it's going to be like one of the best ARPGs ever made, and I will have, I believe it's 5 builds, because I think there's 5 classes. There's the Primalist, there's the Mage, there's the, not Apothecary, not Apostic, what's the word I'm looking for here? I think it starts with, I'm pretty sure it starts with an A. Or like the one that's like, it's kind of like a dark cleric type character. Like, it's not a necromancer, but I can't think of what the name is, but I get the one that like one of the branches you can go down is that it can become a lich, or it can become a reaper, or it can become a warlock. And that is killing me. I know it's not a cultist. I know it's definitely not a cultist. Whatever it's called. Then the rogue and I don't think it's called a knight. I know that the upgrades to it are Paladin, Forge Knight, I think, and Void Knight. Yeah, but I can't remember what the actual base thing is for it. But yeah, so I think it's only those 5. So I'm gonna have 1 build for each. That'll just be like like the builds that I really like for that game, because I think they're interesting flavor for the way that the different damage types and stuff work for that game, which as honestly is one of my biggest negative complaints with Last Epoch is the fact that I feel that there aren't enough damage types in that game. And which is funny to say, because there's more damage types in Last Epoch than there are in Diablo 4. But in Last Epoch, like it feels like there needs to be more because of the fact that there are 3 specializations for each class. So because Diablo 4 has has five classes, and each have like you're like you can specialize, but not the same kind of way. So in Last Epoch, like it feels like each of the specializations should have damage types that are specific to that specialization. Like not like as like the only options, but there should be like an option that's just for that particular class type. And my only reason for saying that is that it feels like there's too much overlap in the damage types in Last Epoch. Like it feels like if you were to play any character that used fire in that game, then any other character that you played would feel similar to that character, even if you were using completely different skills. Like the damage types actually matter in like the way that those builds work for that game. Yeah, which is something that I'm hopeful that they'll recognize that that the biggest thing they're missing is more damage types in that game. And I get it, more damage types means you need to have more resistances to resist those damage types, which causes all kinds of balance issues with getting games like this into people's hands. But I think it is something that, like if they really want to compete against Path of Exile and Diablo 4, they definitely want to get that into their game. Yeah. So I turned this video into a Last Epoch rant because honestly, I don't have much to say about Diablo 4. I put out a review for it. And not too many people have watched it. If you're interested, it's on my channel. You can check it out. All of my reviews are off the cuff reviews. They're reviews of like my immediate impression, like my feelings about the game in their purest form at the moment that the credits ran. Which is why I do it that way. Like I just I want it to be like the most like white hot like a nuclear take on the game possible, because I feel that that adds more value than like going and trying to gather your thoughts on like what you did or didn't like. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but the thing is that when you have a gut reaction to something, usually that is the correct take. Like a lot of times like people do things out of passion that they know were less than ideal, and they could have handled a different way. But for the most part, like when you have a like when you have a gut reaction to something, like you're usually on the right track. And so like that was just the reason why all of my reviews are just like that final impression I had at the moment that the credits ran, and then I take that and I trim it down so that all of the awkward pauses and everything are cut out of it, and put some background music and some B-roll for to play around, to play while the review is going on. Yeah. So if you're interested, it's there. But there's going to be it for my Diablo 4 coverage unless something big changes. But with that said, if you have enjoyed watching my content on this channel, I appreciate doing all YouTube stuff. Like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, stay Victus, Buyers and Humaris, and bye.